Let's start with England's performance at Wembley. Look out, Europe is Sami Mokbel's headliner, accompanying his report from Wembley Stadium, and says they are joint favourites for the Euros. David, how impressive were England in that win over Italy?
Superb, Teddy, and especially to come from behind to win against the top team, show their strength in adversity, great quality on display. I think that's an 8th major tournament in a row qualified for now. We've become used to it when it wasn't always the case back in the day. Gareth Southgate doesn't get the credit he deserves for a quite outstanding run of qualifications for major tournaments and performances at the finals. That will be the big question now, whether England can go and win it in Germany, because there have been a few near misses with semi-finals and finals now. And when you look across the team, they look ripe to do something quite special. There will still be some concerns at the back, but when you go into midfield with the likes of Rice and especially Bellingham, who I'm sure we'll come on to talk about, an absolute gem of a player, just 20 years old, and Harry Kane looks to have got even better since his Bayern Munich move, if tonight was anything to go by with his goal and leadership. It was a brilliant night for England, the national team, and they'll now hope to win their final 2 group games to help with their seeding for the tournament and go there full of confidence.
Absolutely. We'll look forward to the summer in a moment. We'll talk Bellingham, but let's just quickly reflect on that qualification, Riath. David saying we shouldn't overlook that. It's 8 qualifications in a row for England. Have we got complacent in expecting it, maybe?
Like David's saying, it's 8 in a row. They have a formula for doing it. Clearly, qualification isn't as hard as what happens at the tournament itself. Now, I think this great strength of Southgate has been how well they've been doing in those tournaments. They've of course made a final against Italy. Do we use today as a barometer? Probably not. I think you can only judge England on what they now do in the tournaments. But this is such an exciting group of players, and even just watching that kind of Rashford goal there, the second one, you've got this sort of burst of movement through the middle from sort of Foden, Bellingham, Rashford. Bellingham's making this decoy run. It's so exciting to watch. I'm also very aware that a few nights ago, sort of in this same space, we're talking about how dull it was against Australia, albeit with an entirely different starting 11. But that's the kind of England roller coaster, isn't it? You kind of flip from one extreme to another. The interpretations are always that much harsher when it comes to England. But at heart, which we should sort of never really lose sight of, is what an exciting group of players this is. They've got arguably the best player in the world at the moment in Bellingham, and again we will come back to him. You've got Harry Kane up front, who is not slowing down. He looks fantastic. He's made a great start in the Bundesliga. He's had a penalty tonight. Very well taken second goal. I think it's now 61 international goals for Kane. I think the commentary, they were saying that the rest of the squad combined has got 47. So that shows you the quality. And if everything kind of stems from centre forward and this spine, it's really only that defence that I look at with England, and I still say, is that the kind of defence that can win you a major championship? I'm still not convinced. I thought they were quite slack actually with the Italian goal early on, but on the whole, this is a really encouraging performance, and it is a fantastic squad of players.
Back page of the Sun, David, can we stay at yours? Harry, is it all set up for the England skipper on German soil? It's not in Munich, the final, but it's in Berlin for him to cap it off at what would be the age of, nearly 31? It's probably near his birthday, actually, in July, I think.
Yeah, it could be poetic, right? And there's this suggestion that he might be scoping out the pitches already, scouting what it's going to be like for his teammates. And look, it's a short distance away. It will be a good opportunity for England in a European environment during the summer of 2024 to really go and attack that tournament. I think they'll still be, feeling a sense of disappointment off the back of the World Cup in Qatar with that uncharacteristic missed penalty from Kane. We saw exactly tonight how he puts those spot kicks away, and that still remains a bizarre moment. But take nothing away from Kane, he seems to be breaking records like they're going out of fashion. I think he surpassed Sir Bobby Charlton tonight with his 24th goal at Wembley, or home goal for England. And yeah, I mean, I don't think that they will go there fearing anybody, which has become a familiar trait of England teams under Southgate. I mean, France look particularly special, but we've seen that for a while now. So England are really maturing quite nicely. And yeah, it's only the qualification campaign, but since that France defeat at the World Cup, they've won all but one of their matches. I think it's 23 goals scored, just 4 or something like that conceded. Across the team, Gareth Southgate's got good options. There is that little anxiety in defence, but yeah, they look well set. And I think when you look at how some of the other teams in Europe are playing, you pick out maybe a Portugal as well as France, who have both qualified early. The likes of Spain will always be a threat, of course, and a select number of others. But I think this, I mean, and it may be Gareth Southgate's last tournament, very conceivably. So he'll be extra determined to try and go out on a high if that is to be the case.
Yeah, France roaring back to beat Scotland in that friendly in Lille tonight. Let's talk of Jude Bellingham then. Inside the Telegraph is the headline, "Sky is the limit for Bellingham. He can be the English Zidane." Jason Burt, I believe, with this report. Riath, is that a fair comparison, do you feel, given what Bellingham's doing at club and country level now?
I kind of go through these cycles with Jude Bellingham where I try to sort of temper it a little bit and say, well, look at his age, look at how many games he's played. And then I actually watch him play and sort of do quite a quick U-turn on it and sort of drink the Kool-Aid. And he is fantastic. He's an incredibly gifted player. He's so comfortable in possession. And going back to that decoy run as well, he does have an exceptional footballing intelligence, as we call it. You know, he's very tactically astute. He's a great scanner of the game. He knows where people are, and then, you know, it's those touches in those tight spaces which they are the things that make us think about Zidane, because he is so comfortable taking the ball anywhere on the pitch. He's got a superb intuition for what to then do with it. Where's the space? Where's the run? And for someone his age, and also with this England team, for a guy who spent so long playing abroad, he is incredibly familiar with these guys, even if he's not playing with them at club level. So, you know, again, I would love to moderate it and downplay it and say, let's all be a little bit sensible. But then you watch him play and that plan just goes right out the window.
Does Carlo Ancelotti deserve some credit, David, for unleashing him in that position further forward where England embraced him tonight?
Yeah, Carlo's a top coach, but I think it would have happened wherever Bellingham had played. We were starting to see it at Borussia Dortmund. Some early signs with England as well, even at such a tender age. He was gradually sort of integrated into the side. If he had picked one of the other options, such as the Premier League, I'm sure he would have continued on this trajectory. We say it time and again, he seems an old head on young shoulders, maturity beyond his years. You saw him roaring the crowd at Wembley tonight like one of the most senior and experienced players. The way he talks, the way he conducts himself on the pitch, he seems to have that right balance of aggression, but not too much of it. He retains his discipline. His quality is not in doubt. The way he speaks afterwards, the way he appears to live his life. I mean, he's showing all the signs of being sort of perfect in every aspect. And yet I'm sure there's still a lot more to go in him, and he can grow into his career. You just hope that everything holds up for him physically and his body doesn't suffer injuries, and you hope that for all players. But there will be, I'm sure, dips in form. That's natural. But somebody of his age and an English player as well, playing abroad, to be taking on the responsibility of one of the main men at Real Madrid with their history and expectation, and for the England national team, and seeming completely like a duck to water, unflustered by it and reveling in the role. You see him being a potential future captain for club and country, perhaps. And we need to cherish this player, look after him and appreciate what we've got without heaping too much pressure on his shoulders.
Yeah, remarkable talent. Assuming he's fit, Riath, that Harry Kane is fit as well. How much pressure on Gareth Southgate to deliver then in this European Championship?
Yeah, there's a huge amount of pressure, and he's brought it on himself with his own success. I mean, you know, he's the most successful England manager there's been since Alf Ramsey. I don't personally share the criticisms too much of Gareth Southgate. I think his results on the stages where it's mattered have been enormous. You go back to Qatar, Harry Kane penalty goes in, we could be having an entirely different conversation about his legacy. That contract is sort of hanging there. You know, is this going to be his last tournament? I've certainly, in interpreting his body language and listening to his words in his press conferences, I wonder whether or not, you know, he necessarily has the appetite to go again. So all of that adds to the pressure that he's going to face. But, you know, it's a wonderful pressure to have. He's in charge of, you know, he's got the responsibility to pick from a fantastic group of English players. There's so much talent there, even aside from the names we've mentioned there. When you factor in a sort of a player like Declan Rice as well, you know, you're bringing Jack Grealish off the bench. The guy's cost £100 million, plays for Manchester City. That is the definition of being spoiled as a manager, and that does bring pressure. But I can imagine a whole line of elite managers just wishing to have that pressure.